Hello, everyone. My name is Betty. Everyone calls me Grandma. I've decided to start my own YouTube on the YouTube, as they say. So I created a channel with the name Jacklett, Jack, which is Jack, of all trades, master of none. Since I'm not a man, I'm a woman, I call myself Jacklett, though that's not my name. My name is Grandma. I live in southwestern Manitoba, right in the smack of hills, beautiful country, and I've had a lot of experiences in my life that I kind of thought it's time to share. I've been a foster parent for about 35 years, though that's not all that I've had in my life. I've traveled, I've built, I've worked various jobs. I'm an accountant as well. I've grown herbs, I've studied herbalism. I have a wealth of information, but of course, I'm not a master of any of them. So I thought maybe I share a little bit as time goes on of what I've really learned about living and about how to prepare and how to love. I was born in 1951, so that makes me very close to 70, just about, not there yet. And I was one daughter out of a family of five, so there was four boys and myself. Mom and Dad were farmers just outside of north of Winnipeg, which is in the province of Manitoba. They had a small farm, and we grew up there, so I learned about farming. And as time went on, even though I had my own home, I went through a couple marriages and had a lot of life experiences. I really, truly did want to be a farmer. So I had a wonderful dream that led me to the land that I live on, and I will share that dream shortly. But it took a lot of effort. It took a lot of feelings of, was I worth or had the value or had the strength to do what I wanted to do? And sure enough, I did, and I have. I live on a farm, like I said, with chickens and rabbits, a big garden that I grow lots of vegetables to prepare for the winter. I have canned chickens and rabbits, vegetables of all kinds, you name it, I've canned it. Frozen. I used to freeze in the beginning, but my freezers would fill up and I'd have no room for my meat, so that I decided to can. And so it took a time to learn another skill. Still, again, never mastering anything, but learning. I've gone through many different scenarios in my life. From the time I was young, I knew I had a past life or had lived in the past. And that's all part of my story as time goes on. I learned that I had many lifetimes, and each lifetime that I recalled helped me live my life today. So I'm not interested in giving advice on anything, whether it's political, spiritual, living life day to day. Each one of us have to find our own way in life, but I just kind of give you my experiences, and maybe that'll help someone along the way to live their life a little easier. So I'd like to get on with my dream. I had this dream back in the year 2000, 1999 maybe even, about land I had always wanted, though I did live on a small farm outside of Winnipeg. I had 5 acres that I farmed. I had a big garden and dogs and kids, always kids. But I had this dream of finding land where I could come or go and build a house. Though I did have a very beautiful house where I lived, I knew I had to go somewhere else. I was too close to Winnipeg, and I wanted to be farther away. So as a result, I started traveling. I got in the car on the summer one July and started traveling around southwestern Manitoba. I gave myself roughly 2 to 300 kilometer distance to just travel around and look for the land that I dreamt about. My dream, I remember, I was standing on a hill and I was looking down at a deep valley. As far as the eye could see, I could see the valley, and then I could see hills in the distance. And behind me, there was a whole bunch of trees, and I knew that's where I was supposed to be living. So I had the idea that it was land. I didn't know how much land, and I really didn't care how much land. All I knew was that I need to find this land. So I started traveling. I went through Balder and Belmont and Killarney. These are all southwestern towns in Manitoba. Hartney, Elgin, Souris. I never went to Brandon because I knew Brandon wasn't the place. One day I was going down into this deep valley and looked, and it was just such a gorgeous place. I thought, boy, wouldn't I love to live here? It was Ninette, I found out as I got in there, and there was no signs. There was nothing that I could see that would lead me to wanting to think that this was any place that I was supposed to be looking for, because I was looking for a big hill. So I drove up through the valley to the other side, past an old, huge building and area that used to house the tuberculosis people back in the day. I'm not sure when, 50s, 60s, maybe even 70s. That was abandoned. Well, maybe not abandoned, but certainly closed. So I went through there, and I went back up the hill, and I stopped and I looked back, and it was such a beautiful view, just gorgeous. But anyhow, I continued on, and as I was driving down the road, I saw a little sign on the side of the road. It said Country Lane Realty, and I thought, geez, I haven't called these people. So I wrote down the name of the realtor and the gentleman's name and his phone number that put that sign there. I can see that place where the sign was standing wasn't what I was looking for. It didn't have a huge hill. It didn't have a valley. And that Country Lane Realty was not a realtor that I had called. I had called all the big names, Century 21, you name it, I called them. And I told them I was looking for land. It was in the hills. I didn't know how much land. I didn't care how much land, but I knew it had to be south of number 1 highway, which is the Trans-Canada Highway going through Canada and through, of course, Manitoba, on the way west to Saskatchewan and Alberta. So, but no one had any land for me. No one had any idea that what I was looking for that they had on their books. So I was kind of getting pretty frustrated when I started driving. And when I found this Country Lane Realty, I thought, wow, this is a really good opportunity. As soon as I get home, I'm going to call. So I did. I called the next day, and I said, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a hill, and I'm looking for land. I don't care how much really land there is, other than for the fact that it's on a hill with a valley and trees. And I also knew, not knowing why I knew, but I knew that land would not be for sale. And I hadn't a clue how I was going to find this land that wasn't for sale. So one of the first things that this gentleman said to me was, gee, I may know a farmer that may want to sell his land, and it's not for sale. I thought, holy smokes, I found my land, even though I hadn't even seen it. So I made an appointment with him, and I came out to the little town close by my property, about 10 minutes away, and we met, and he said, okay, jump into my truck, and I'll go show you the land. I knew that I had wanted to call my land Valley View. Just in the back of my mind, I was thinking that. So we came out of this little town, and we stopped to turn onto this road, and waiting for traffic. I saw the name of the road was Valley View Road. And I thought, oh boy, this one more indicator that I'm just about close to my land. So we traveled another 10 minutes into the hills, which was a good sign because that's what I wanted. And sure enough, he showed me my land. I was so happy, I was beside myself, but of course I now had to negotiate this land. So I said, well, it kind of looks okay. Not sure if I really like it or not, but we'll drive around. It was winter. It was February. My gosh, it was February 4th. So this is 2004. I bought this land. So this would have been January 2004. So this is 15 years ago that I was looking for this land, and I found it. So we went home, or I went home, and he said, well, think about it. And I said, certainly, I'll think about it and I'll let you know. So he, and at the same time, decided to call the man that owned the property and ask how much he wanted for it. So he got a price from the man, and I called, and he said, well, this gentleman would like to sell his land. He had PMU horses in the past, but just then, in 2003 and 2004, the government canceled the contract on PMU horses. And if people don't know, birth control pills were made from the urine of pregnant mares. So, of course, people had to keep horses and have them pregnant and go through their time to have the baby in order to use the urine. So anyhow, he had lost his contract and he no longer wanted this land. So yes, I kind of walked in just at the exact right time. So my realtor said to me, okay, he wants this amount of money for it, and I thought, well, that's good, but it's not what I want to spend. So I offered him $10,000 less. So he said, oh boy, I don't know if he's going to want that, but anyhow, he went back to the farmer, and said, this is what this lady would like to offer, and he came back, and we negotiated a couple times, and I ended up as having saved maybe about $6,000. I got $6,000 off the price he had wanted. So I bought the land. So now I had this land, and found out as well that it was 160 acres of farmland. That what am I going to do it? Because I'm not a farmer in that sense. I'm not growing grains or anything. I just want to build a house. And there was nothing on there. There was no structures on here when I bought the land. It was just really all pasture. And trees, of course, and hills, and beautiful, beautiful country. So I made the deal. I got a mortgage. Now I was holding two mortgages with my house outside of Winnipeg and this property. But I did. I knew I was going to sell the house, so I knew I was going to do all right. I mean, I had to struggle, but so what? People struggle. And then that was in 2004. And then I started working out how I was going to move to this property. I had three foster children at the time, four actually. The oldest was soon to graduate, so she was probably not going to come with me. So I was going to have at least three children coming. So I couldn't just put a tent on the property and say, okay, here I am. I had to have a home. So then that was my next step. I had to find a home to move to, and of course something close to the land, because there's no point on getting something farther away, because I was still now 2.5 hours away from this property that I wanted to prepare to settle and build and move my life. So I went to the little town close by that I had met the realtor in, and said to myself, I'm only going to pay $25,000 for a house. I can't afford anything else, because I already have now two mortgages. I can't afford a third mortgage. So going into the little town, I'm going up and down the streets, just looking, because I had no interest really in calling a realtor, because I really wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to afford to do this. And sure enough, I found a house that was certainly big enough for me and the three kids at the end of the street, 7th Street it was on. So I called the realtor that had the name on the on the sign, and I said, I'm interested in looking at this house. So I met the lady, and we went through the house. It was an older home, falling down, and the write-up on it from the person that was selling it got a write-up on the structure and so forth, and they were prepared to condemn the house because it was falling down in every direction. And I figured, well, that's not going to stop me. I'm going to fix it. So the lady wanted $32,000 for this house, this older home, and I offered 20. And she came back and said no, she wanted 28. I offered 25, and we settled on $25,000. I got the home that I had wanted, to be able to be close to my land and able to bring my kids to live and have a good home, because they were foster children, CFS, Child and Family Services certainly wouldn't allow me to just bring them to any old place. And it was a nice home. It just needed a lot of structural preparations or repairs. So I did. I moved the whole family, and that was in, oh gosh, August 2005. I moved from outside of Winnipeg to this small town with the kids, and they started school, and life moved on. I think I'm going to stop there and talk about the next phase of my life. I'd like to just kind of jump all around on what life has been like for me and the experiences I've had. I've always followed my inner nudges and buying the property, the land, buying the house, moving. It was all a struggle. It was all an inner struggle as well as a financial struggle and a physical struggle. But I set my mind to doing it, and I did it. So that's, I guess, the key of anything we do in our life is we have to set a goal, and then we have to work to reach it. And it's never easy, and sometimes it seems insurmountable, but it never is if we truly do set our mind to it. So take care for today, and I'll talk to you again soon on the travels of Jacklett of all trades and the master of none. Bye-bye.